And Edie, if you don't mind, I'm going to have you start with our presentation, and then we're just going to go back and forth.
Okay.
All right.
So thanks everybody for jumping on board and getting here. So the reason that you're here is just because of several pain points that I ran into and that Christina's run into. So we're going to talk about that and what is the best way. Hold on a second. I literally put my phone on airplane and it's still ringing. I don't know. Any rate, so what we're talking about here is this program. So it really was designed as a win-win-win because I ran into problem, and I tried to solve a lot of problems, or Christina and I tried to solve a lot of problems with this one program. So what it does is the first person it's going to help is obviously your clients. It's going to help your retired clients, your senior clients, and it's going to help them reposition themselves to get into a much better position. Basically, you know, the next slide there is like, who can benefit from a smaller home and increased income? And that question is basically everybody, especially in this day and age where the person we're looking for or trying to help is somebody that's in a large home with a lot of equity, and they run into problems and they have problems with home maintenance, deferred maintenance, high utility bills. They've got a ton of equity. They've lived in this house forever. However, with today's inflation rates and everything else that's going on, they've got this dwindling income where the little bit of nest egg that they do have is just not cutting it. So they would like to get out of this big house, get into a smaller house, maybe into that final place that they're going to be, and or what we're really looking for is people that just need to step down out of this big home into the smaller home that's closer to the kids, that's easier on their budget and easier on their knees. So as I'm working with these different clients, I keep coming into some obstacles. Like I said, some problems. There's problems with moving. The biggest problem also I come into is that when we sell their house, and I can go into that, how that's problematic in and of itself, they need to take that money, the proceeds realized from that transaction, and sink the majority of it into the next house, because they still need to get into a house, you know, all cash, no mortgage payments is really what they're looking for, is no mortgage payment. So they feel like they need to sink all their cash into that deal. And by the time we make this transaction and we get them out of the big house into the little house, they just don't have as much money left over as they thought they were going to have. So that becomes, you know, my next problem. I felt really bad about that. Like I had really wanted them to be in a better financial position. So here I am, a problem, going to look for a solution. And that's when I found Christina. And Christina really helped me understand the whole world of how we can get these people into this next purchase using using this product, the 𝐂𝐭𝐚 product. And then they still have a house with no house payment, and they have more money for their retirement. And of course, if they have more money for the retirement, for the financial planners that are on the webinar, that allows you to go to work and really help them as well. So Christina, you talk about, you know, you take it from here. Where are we at with this? And explain what you do, why you're the world's best at this, why you're the expert, and you know, how we help people.
Yeah, thank you, Edie. So it's not news to anybody on here, financial planners. You guys have probably told your clients to downsize, and they probably haven't done it. And there's a couple of obstacles. Edie and I are well aware of why they haven't done it. You guys may not be, because you don't see that every single day. One of the first things is just what Edie said. They downsize with cash and they sink the cash in, no mortgage payment. Woohoo, that's great. But now all their cash is sunk into the home. Where I come from the world of reverse mortgages. And what I help people do is downsize and not have to sink all that cash into that next purchase. But one of the problems that I come up against is that they don't want to move. It's just too overwhelming. So when I found Edie, we figured out, okay, let's find senior movers to help place people. The realtors themselves, sometimes they just want them to use all cash. And that goes against what what the client really needs, right? Don't sink all the cash into the home. And so when we found each other, we said, oh my gosh, we have a perfect solution. We're going to unroll that to you guys. It has quite a few different steps. And we have a national network of realtors that know how to do this, which that's a really important piece of the puzzle. And we're going to hold their hand and train everybody the whole way through, but really give your senior clients the white glove service to make this actually happen. This is the program that will actually take your clients to action to do the downsize you've probably been telling them to do for a long time. All right, so like I said, it's about 10 years in the making. I had a client, Sue. She was in NorCal and her kids wanted her to move to SoCal. She had recently been widowed and she didn't want to do a reverse mortgage, right? Oh, reverse mortgages are bad. Well, today they're a lot different than they were even just 10 years ago. She didn't know this. So when she first met with me, she was like, I'm not going to do this. I'm just here because my kids told me to. And by the end of the meeting, she goes, well, this is exactly what I need. And I'll give you more of the details, but by the beginning of the meeting with Sue, she kept saying, well, I don't have a financial planner. I don't need a financial planner. And her kids and I kept going, yes, but by the end of this process, you're going to have $400,000 cash and you're going to need a financial planner. And so by the end of this process, that's exactly what happened. She completely transformed her entire situation, her entire retirement, and she still got herself into a home with no mortgage payment. So let's go in here. So how do you increase your AUM and have better retirement outcomes without increasing more clients? Downsizing. Downsizing is the way. It's the very simple way. You know, there's 13,000, there's 13 trillion in senior home equity today. I don't think you guys hear that as often as we hear that in the reverse mortgage and the real estate industry. But 13 trillion, this could pay for the long-term care that they need that they haven't bought yet. This could pay for a lot of the other retirement fundings that you guys need, just getting them to downsize or even do a lateral move, but free up some of that cash. All right, so first off, we're going to transfer the client home equity into investments, right? Through the downsize, we're going to free up a bunch of cash. Some people still have mortgages though, so it might not free up as much, but by incorporating our strategy, we're still going to free up more than what was possible without us. And we're going to simplify it. So you've told your client go downsize, but you're not the realtor calling them every week going, can I come and take a look at your place? Let's take a look at a senior moving company. There's a lot of pieces to this puzzle and they just get overwhelmed. I often will meet with a family and say, I think downsizing is probably the right solution. And it's like before I had Edie, it's like 6 months until they actually do anything about it. Sometimes they never do. This program is to help them take action and actually make this happen. Like you guys know, if they do this earlier in retirement, those assets have more time to grow and they're going to have a much better retirement overall. So this is the program to help them actually move to action. So benefits for the client, we're going to simplify the process for them. By the end of the whole move, they're still going to have no mortgage payments. So some of your clients, we're getting them out of a mortgage payment through this process. Some of them may already have a free and clear home and they don't want a new mortgage payment. They're not going to have a new mortgage payment by the end of this. We're going to increase your client portfolios and just have better retirement outcomes overall. If we can free up some of that cash, you know what an impact that can have. Having long-term care insurance, having other retirement assets to be able to grow for a longer period of time. So the benefit to you guys, obviously increased AUM without increasing your client load. Client retention, right? The more cutting edge you are, the more they're going to stay with you. It's on my YouTube channel if you guys are interested, but I had a recording with a reverse mortgage client who fired his financial planner because his financial planner goes, oh, you don't need that. And he was a math major. So he went through everything. And by the end of it, he goes, well, I actually wanted this. Why didn't you talk to me about it? So that is a trend that we are starting to see. You guys being here, you're going to get ahead of it. I know some of you guys personally, I know that you know what you're talking about when you talk about retirement plans. This is going to help you incorporate home equity, not in a simple way. It's a little more complex, but that's where Edie and I are going to hold your clients' hands and make sure it happens for you. And then Counterintuitive, but we're actually going to leave larger legacies by incorporating a reverse mortgage and this downsizing strategy. Get you more money to manage and grow over a longer period of time while not having a mortgage payment. Really, really big. All right, Edie, this one's you.
So you guys can obviously see how this whole process can fit together. And this is the system that we've come up with to help manage. And I want to say micromanage, a lot of white glove service, a lot of hand holding. But let me tell you, at the top of the process, at the very beginning, this is my client. This is your client. This is where they're at. They're in an older home. They've got, typically it's an older home that they've lived there. They raised their whole family there. Their kids are grown, moved off. They're still in this big home in a high tax district, property tax district, school district. And they have a lifetime of belongings stacked everywhere. It's stacked in the garage, it's stacked in the attic. It's everywhere. And of course, they might have had some what we call deferred maintenance along the way. So here we have a senior client that is living in this big house. It's full of stuff. And I tell you what, getting them, well, right here, just before I move on, I mean, they've got high maintenance. Obviously, these homes are going to take more maintenance. You're going to have higher energy bills because they're probably less energy efficient and they're bigger. And so there's your energy cost. I'm looking at people that are still living in one of the highest taxing property tax areas because these homes are located in really good school districts. So they're paying out the nose for that. And they haven't had kids in school for 20 years. And of course, the majority of, I mean, if you look at their retirement nest egg, their retirement portfolio versus the equity in their home, that can be pretty comparable, or even the equity can be a whole lot more. So most of their financial assets are locked up in this big behemoth of a house as well. So obviously it makes sense to downsize, but the problem is, where do we start? Because we're dealing with somebody that is, this is their home. They've lived there forever, and it's very difficult to kind of get them to make this move. So the Retireazy program was developed simply for that. And it's a process where, as Christina mentioned, we have specially trained agents that are going to walk them through this process. And let me just explain what the process is. It's right here on this next slide. So it's 3 steps. The first one is the part that they love the most, because right here, when I talk to a senior client about, let's get your home ready to list and sell, that is the last thing they want to hear. What do I do with all this stuff? And if they, have a husband there who might have some mobility issues or vice versa, what do we do? How do we get them out? I had one client, they were senior themselves, and she had to downsize because her husband was coming down with some Alzheimer's, dementia type problems. Her mother was still alive and living with them. And it's going to be like, okay, well, how do I get you and the dementia patient and your elderly mother all out of the house in the blink of an eye and keep the house clean and ready to go? Of course, they have their dogs, and out the door so we can have showings. And then, of course, these people come on the showings and they're going to open every door, every cabinet, looking at. So it's a very stressful thing to say to a senior, let's get your house listed and on the market and ready to show. So that right there, how do you overcome that biggest obstacle? And it's right here. It's number 1. We have a program. I can give them a full market value cash offer. Okay, so right there, you don't need to prep your house to sell. You don't need to do anything. I can go into more details about how this process works, but at the end of the day, it's a full market value cash offer that they close at their kitchen table. And then once they've closed, then we have some time. In fact, they have 2 weeks to a month to transition out of that house. And of course, that's the part I do next, which is slide number, the next part there, purchase the new home. So when we purchase the new home, we go out, we help them find the small home, the energy efficient home, the home in the better neighborhood, the home next to her kids, where they want to be. Now, we purchased that new home with the HECM mortgage with Christina's help. So we purchased that home with the HECM mortgage. And then now that the client is safely out of their old home, we've helped them through our senior move and our senior move manager transition, and now they are moved into their new home. What do I do with their old home? I put it back on the market. So then now that they're out, the home can be updated as needed, lightly updated usually, fresh paint, clean the carpets, take care of any rotten wood, exterior issues, wash the windows, tidy up the yard, get it spiffed up, and put it back on the market. And usually I can sell it for more than the initial agreed fair market value, because now it's spiffier, right? It looks better. It makes a better curb appeal. It makes a better presentation. So any equity gained on that resale of the property is refunded back to the client. So it is, when I say it's a win-win-win, I truly mean that, because I told you I was faced with a problem and I was a problem looking for a solution, and that's what I came up with. And so now, moving on to Christina, who was a huge part of, filling in the holes. She was able to, help me create this whole, we were able to create this whole system that truly benefits everyone it touches. It benefits the client, it benefits you as the financial planner. Obviously, it helps me and the local realtors. It also helps Christina in building her business. So we are working with a business model that helps everyone. And these seniors could not get through this process without our help. And that's why we're here. We're here to help them and serve them. So Christina, explain, all of the benefits to the client that they get through this process.
Yeah. So, excuse me, for me, having that cash offer, then giving us some time to close on that next house is really helpful. Those of you who've been through home sales, you know what it's like to have to list and do showings, and that's arduous, and seniors don't like it. They really don't like people coming to their home. So, avoiding that moves them to action quickly. Then they just go find their next home, and then we have time to actually close on that and get them moved in. Now, with that, you can, of course, just buy for cash, and some of your guys' clients will. That will happen. But I highly recommend every single client who might want to do that, that you have them take a look at the HECM for purchase instead. Because the goal, the old paradigm was no mortgage in retirement. The new paradigm is no mortgage payment in retirement. There's only two ways to get there: pay cash or do a HECM for purchase. We've got the HECM for purchase loan for you here. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply the outcomes. Of course, downsize frees up some cash. Of course it does. Let's free up some more cash and still have no mortgage payment. The only other way to do that is to free up more cash and have a mortgage payment by financing the purchase with a mortgage, which nobody wants to do. All right. Actually, some people do think they want to do because they don't know about this program. So this is where you guys come in. Now, they might be scared of what they don't know. So these are common fears I hear in my business about reverse mortgages. So people think they're losing ownership. First off, that's not true. This is a reverse mortgage, which is a FHA insured program backed by HUD. It's a government type back loan. HECM, we call it the home equity conversion mortgage. It's a mortgage, which is a lien on title, just like any other mortgage. Second thing, they think they're going to run out of equity. 10, 15 years ago, we used to have a large loan amounts. Today, the loan amounts are a whole lot less because they want there to be equity remaining when the person does pass so that the heirs still get something. And because of appreciation, most of the charts that I look at today, equity actually increases over time, unless we're talking about a market where it doesn't appreciate at all, or a type of home that doesn't. So my dad's from Iowa. I always like to poke fun. I hope nobody on here takes offense. Properties in Iowa just don't appreciate like properties in other markets. So maybe there it might not be the best fit, but I'm in San Diego. I saw Arizona. I saw Washington. We're dealing with Texas, Florida. These are all markets that do appreciate. So that can make up the difference of any balance of the loan growing over time. And it's really important that you understand that and guide your clients through that. The way people look at a reverse mortgage now is, instead of taking my Social Security or retirement assets and funneling it into my mortgage. Instead of doing that, I'm allowing the future appreciation to make that payment for me. It's a deferred payment loan. It's a really simple way to look at it. Um, all right, debt exceeding home value. It can happen. It's pretty rare. The time that we see it happen is like 2008, where the real estate market dropped a whole lot, like big crash, and somebody passed away at that time. That's when the debt might exceed the home value. And in that case, the FHA insurance picks it up. They pay the difference. This is a non-recourse loan. Really, really important you understand that and have your clients understand that, because that protects the rest of your assets. If your client has a regular mortgage, that's not the case. It is not non-recourse loans on regular mortgages. They're going to look for the difference from other estate assets. So this can be a way to hedge the real estate market. Foreclosure risk. Just like any other mortgage, you've got to pay your taxes, you've got to pay your insurance, otherwise you could be foreclosed upon. That is true with a reverse mortgage. It's just we emphasize it more because there's not a mortgage payment you're sending in every month. So it's important that our clients all know you have to actually pay the taxes and the insurance yourself. But if you own a home, you're going to pay property taxes, and good Lord, I hope you pay your homeowner's insurance. You don't have to have it at that point if you're free and clear, but gosh, why wouldn't you? The complexity. My job is to take this more complex concept and turn it into the simple while still being thorough and holding your client's hands, and your hands if you want, through the process. These numbers are not crazy. I do a 30-minute presentation where it's recorded. It's a little video. You can watch it. Your clients can watch it. Their kids can watch it. They can rewatch it. It answers 95% of the questions of how this whole thing works. And typically, people don't even call me to ask questions after. They just go to the next step, which is HUD counseling. That's one of the consumer protections you guys should be aware of. In order to do a reverse mortgage, I have to have a certificate of completion of a HUD counseling session. Now, in that session, they're asking everything to make sure the client really understands. Every now and then, we do catch an incompetency type issue and we can't get a certificate. So, if and when that might be your client, call me. We'll talk about how to handle it. Inability to move or sell the home. So that one kind of founded a HECM for purchase, or a HECM reverse mortgage, is intended for only owner occupied properties. So a lot of the time I'll have somebody say, well, what happens, reverse isn't a fit because what if they might need to move into a care home? I literally just got off the phone with a financial planner whose mom is in that exact situation. And I said, well, do you want to keep the home? And she goes, no. I was like, okay, well, then typically this is the time where you're going to sell it to get the remaining equity out to go pay for that cost of care. So that's not typically a reason to not do it. It usually gets people through the majority of their retirement. And then a care facility is typically only a 2-year stay. So that's when the home is sold. You don't have to sell it. You could pay off the reverse mortgage with cash or refinance it into another mortgage. But typically people need the rest of the equity out. So that's why they're doing that. So inability to move or sell the home, sell at any time. There's no prepayment penalties. This is a lien on title. You're still the owner. Impact on heirs. Actually, working with financial planners, that impact on heirs should be a good thing. There are a few studies out that actually prove doing a reverse mortgage early in retirement can help preserve other assets and leave a larger legacy. And again, depending on your market, like here in San Diego, our appreciation long term is just astounding. It way outpaces the reverse mortgage growth. So the equity is still there. And then trustworthy partner. This is where I come in. Unfortunately, in order to do a reverse mortgage, all you need is a mortgage license. There is a certification called the Certified Reverse Mortgage Professional. You can see us by these little pins. These are really the people who know what they're doing. There's only about 200 of us in the country. The test has a 25% pass rate. It's pretty hard. You have to really know what you're doing. You sign a code of ethics. So I recommend, whether it's me or working with somebody else, you only work with certified reverse mortgage professionals, because they really do care about your clients and they have the dedicated competency. You can't even sit for the test unless you've closed 50 reverse mortgages or been in the industry for 3 years. So I highly recommend that that's who you work with. I'd love that to be me. I'm in most markets. If I'm not in the market, like if you're in Alaska, I don't think we have anybody in Alaska, I can help find you somebody who can help, who is also a certified reverse mortgage professional. So leveraging the home sale process, right? Your job is not to actually get somebody to sell and do all the steps of moving. That's where we come in. And your job is to manage their retirement. We're going to get you a big lump sum of cash to be able to help manage that retirement and enhance it. We're essentially reallocating equity. As I mentioned, there's 13 trillion in senior home equity, not just home equity, senior home equity today. That's a lot of money. There's no reason that anybody in America who's sitting on at a ton of equity should be worried about their retirement. But I hear it every single day. I'm sure you guys see it in your practice where people are wanting to retire, but oh, I've got that mortgage payment. Oh, this house payment. Or they just don't have enough funds. Well, this is where we can find those funds. Income generation, right? If we get you guys more assets to manage, you can get them more income every single month. Better retirement outcomes, and I didn't include on the slide, and I wish I had. I talked to somebody yesterday who was saying every single reverse mortgage that's done should be coupled with long-term care. We were talking about it. He was a retired financial planner. He was 75 himself, but it really made a lot of sense. And so he said that in his practice, people would not get long-term care because they didn't have the funds. This is where we find the funds. You guys already understand the impact of not having long-term care on a plan. So we're going to implement the HECM mortgage, and you're going to let me calm them through it. When you say the words reverse mortgage, some of your clients will probably give you like, what? Really? Let me handle that. I will, and all you have to say is she's the expert. She'll handle it through it. I'm very used to handling that type of thing. So don't try to calm them down. Just say, please just listen to hear what she has to say. I'll get them through that part, or we can work on it together. But I would say that's honestly going out the window. That's really, I only get reactions like that from people about 80 or older these days. People in their 60s are much more aware of this because their friends and their family have had it. A lot of their parents have had it too, and I hear feedback all the time. "Oh my gosh, my it worked great for my mom. I don't know why there's a bad rap out there. It works great." So this will allow a client to purchase a new home without monthly mortgage payments and without sinking all their cash into the purchase. So again, the old paradigm, and that comes from our nation's farming history, right? In mortgage, I don't know why you guys would know this. I should probably have had a slide on this. But in mortgage, back in the 20s, when mortgages were first invented on the wide scale, and then again in the 40s after the war, those types of mortgages in a long time ago, in the early 20s, they were 5 years, and there was a huge balloon payment after those 5 years, and hey, the bank could call it due at any point in time. So it was not a really palatable thing for families to retire or for people to get old with a mortgage on their home because, well, the whole family could be displaced. And so it was really, really important to pass that land down to the kids so that the kids could take care of the parents who still live there and they could farm the land. This was typically where this thinking comes from. Well, that's not really appropriate in today's market. 70% of all heirs actually sell the physical home. And so we're just talking about equity at that point and managing the equity along with the other assets, no longer looking at the other assets in a silo, but saying the entire picture here. I think we could probably use some of that equity. The new paradigm is retire without a mortgage payment. You guys see every single day in your plans the impact a mortgage payment has on your clients. Now, not everybody's going to be able to do this, but for your clients that can, if you have 2 to 5 to 12 clients a year who can do this, they're going to have a huge impact on your book of business. They're also going to be raving about you because this is a little bit creative. We're on kind of the cutting edge. We don't have a lot of financial planners well, Edie and I just created this program. So we don't have anybody taking advantage of the cash offer, make this all super simple. We do have some people understand that incorporating a reverse mortgage in a downsize or otherwise can be really helpful for retirement. Um, let's keep going. So the key benefits here, as I've said, no monthly required mortgage payments, though they can make payments if they want to, in any amount, at any time, or don't. And you may want to work with them, and their CPA may want to work with them. If they do want to have a tax deduction for interest paid, they actually need to pay that interest. As I'm not a CPA, this is not tax advice, it's just my understanding of how mortgage interest works. So if you wanted to coach them through what that would look like, that may be a reason to do payments. Also, you may create a line of credit that grows by doing payments with our program. Little higher level, if you want to talk about that offline, I'd be happy to. Ownership and occupancy. The client retains ownership. They are the owners on title. Even if the home's in a trust, we can close in a trust. And they can live in the home as long as they wish. The mortgage is not due because they've had it for a certain number of years. The mortgage is not due because they've reached a certain age. The mortgage is due when the last borrower moves out of the home. The mortgage is due if they were to default on their property taxes and homeowners insurance or any other property charges. The mortgage is due if they don't maintain the home to health and safety standards, meeting FHA's minimum requirements, which they're pretty simple. Typically, we see that one come into play if and when the property is like condemned or a neighbor is calling because it's just in such shambles, which pretty rare, but it can happen. And the mortgage is due on the death of the last borrower and or possibly the last non-borrowing spouse if they got the deferment. Again, little complex. I'd be happy to talk to offline on that. So we're going to increase the retirement assets, right? What good is it to have all the equity locked up in the walls of a gigantic home they don't need to live in anymore? They don't want to live in, they just don't see the way out. This is the way out. So potential big tax income benefit with the purchase money indebtedness. Sometimes I'll have somebody go, well, my client's just going to buy for cash and then we'll do the reverse mortgage in a year or two. Well, if you do that, you're going to miss out on a huge tax benefit of purchase money indebtedness. Again, a little higher level concept that's going to be a CPA's realm to coach on, to discuss. This is not tax advice, but there is a benefit to doing it this way. The eligibility in the process. So typically clients age 62 and older, though there are some programs in some states for clients age 55 and under. Those are private reverse mortgages. They're not the FHA government backed kind. The process, a certified reverse mortgage professional will assist the client in navigating the reverse mortgage process. Now, typically, I prefer to pre-qualify somebody before they've sold their house. I want to make sure that this loan is actually going to work before they have signed the dotted line selling their home. So if you have clients who are looking that this might work, please let's work together to get them pre-qualified so we know exactly what they're going to buy, how much they can purchase, and that they can find a home that they like before they sell their existing one. All right, so client story. This is Sue, who I referred to earlier. She was a widow. She lived on a really big property in fire country up in NorCal. And every time the fires came through, her kids were just biting their nails. Is mom okay? And it was one of those towns, there's only like 2 roads in and out. And so they were always worried about her. They also wanted her closer to home, closer to where they were. It wasn't home, it was San Diego. They wanted her closer because they just had their first child. So they wanted grandma involved and she wanted to be involved too. But she didn't really see how to make it all work. So her first option, she sold her home. Well, this is what she did. It's not the first option, but what she did was she sold her home and she netted 625. That's the number I'm going to talk about. She actually sold for like $1 million, but what she ended up netting, right? The cash we have to work with was 625. So of 625, she purchased a condo, which can be a little harder, but I can do it. Purchased a condo with $400,000 cash. She could have done it that way. The purchase price was $400,000. She could have sunk in all $400,000, still walking away with $225, right? Sue, you have to go find a financial planner now. Here's $225 to go do that with. That would have worked. And for some of your clients, maybe that's all they're going to do. But there's another option. So the first outcome, of course, we're increasing the AUM. We got her into a much more manageable property. There's a lot of reasons to do it that way. Option 2, this is where I come in to multiply your outcomes for what's possible. We're still selling the home. She netted 625. This is what she actually did. She purchased the $400,000 home and she only used 265 of the cash to do it. She no longer was sinking that 400,000 in. She only sunk 265 in. And this is what I mentioned earlier. Our loan amounts are less than they used to be, right? I'm not financing the majority of her home, but I am financing a portion of it, pretty significant portion. The investment she was able to create was 360. So I said 400, I rounded up, but 360. instead of 225. That's over $100,000 more. And these are not big numbers. Some of your clients, we're talking about selling a $2 million home. Some of them, these numbers might be right, but increasing from 225 to 360, that's a 60% increase. Just right there, just by incorporating this little known HECM for purchase strategy. It's 135,000 more. And Sue was young, she's 73. Do you think growing 135 over the next 20 years might impact her retirement in a positive way? Absolutely. So by the numbers, it's a 60% increase. If you had just 24 clients do this program over the next 2 to 3 years, that's what is that, 6 to 8 clients a year? Not that many. You probably are thinking, oh my gosh, this client, this client, this client. What if we started these conversations and started the ball rolling? Because this is probably not going to happen overnight. With Edie's program, it's going to happen a lot faster, a lot smoother. We're going to help them find the exact right people. But that would be an increase to AUM of 8.6 million. If the numbers just look like the numbers we just looked at. And like I said, they're probably low for a lot of your clients. Without ever adding a new client. That's pretty impactful. All right, so Edie, we're going to wrap up here pretty quickly, but Edie, if you could go over the steps again.
Gotcha. That's really powerful. It's a really powerful way to just multiply your AUM with the existing clients that you have while you're helping them. And I want to emphasize helping them because, you know, I mean, we have all had parents, grandparents, things like that, that we know they need help and we know we need to help them move, but they're just overwhelmed by this whole process. So first of all, that's why this program is here. And let me explain it to you real quickly. I'm here to take care of them every step of the way. The first thing we do, which everyone likes to do, is let's go out and start looking at new homes. And that's the easiest thing to do. It's the funnest thing to do. So that's easy enough right there. So we go get them, take them shopping. We help them find a new home next to their kids where they want to be, in the condo, on the beach, wherever, nationwide. I don't care. So we help you find the new home. We get that new home under contract. All right, so done. We've selected the new home. Then we go back to your house and we get that cash offer going and we close with the cash offer on your existing house. Wonderful. So now that we get the house closed and we start the process, we close on the new home and they use the HECM to purchase the new home. So now we've got these two transactions done. Nobody's had to show the house. Nobody's had to list the house. Nobody's had to fix any paint, repair the air conditioner, anything. Didn't have to fix the roof, whatever. We got them into the new home, out of the big home. And then of course we have the HECM. Now, the part that you step in, now that they have all this money, we definitely encourage them to work with their financial planner. We are all a team taking care of our people. You know, you are not the only one with fiduciary duty. We all have that duty to our client to help them. And so we encourage them to invest their sale proceeds. And so look at what you've done for this person. You've totally radically changed their life. You got them out of this lonely big house. It's this expensive house that needs all these maintenance things done. You've gotten them into the new, smaller home, hopefully more energy efficient, because that's definitely what we push towards, and in the location that they want to be at. And then we've been able to do it with the HECM, which helps them realize more cash. They've been able to net gain so much more cash towards their retirement and their living expenses. And then in this whole process, they're not packing and moving and getting rid of things and getting their house ready to go back on the market and painting and on and on and on. All the things, if you've ever moved, you know exactly what I'm talking about. All the pain that comes with that. They're not doing that either. That's part of our program and what we help them with. This whole process, they are loved on and cared for by our, by myself and by our realtors that we've trained and that are work with us and that are partners with this on our program. So if you switch to that next slide, that kind of tells you how we do this. And I have already implemented this exact process through my relocation program. So I know how it works. I relocate high-end executives, C-suite executives, physicians, people of high net worth, and I move them, I relocate them all around the country. You just don't slam them anywhere. You have to take care of these people. I know how to take care of people, and the realtors that I work with know how to take care of people, and they've got to have a heart for this. And that's what we're doing, is we are taking care of and serving our clients. And then, as you've got to have a realtor in the middle of this whole process, because we have the cash offer, we have the sale, we have the closing. We've got to close on the new house. We've got to coordinate this entire deal. We've got to coordinate any repairs, all of that. So we have to partner with local realtors that we've hand selected and are working with, and understand the HECM purchase process, and understand and adhere to our guidelines. So this program is national in scope, but it's highly targeted locally with the right person, the key right person right there taking care of your client. It can't be anybody. It's got to come through our system where we can hold them accountable and monitor this whole process. In addition to personally talking with your client every step of the way and making sure that they're, feeling good about this. If they have any questions or concerns, I mean, we are their go-to. So I just wanted to make sure you understood that when you hand off somebody to us, we care for them probably more than you do. We take care of them. I've been in this business a long time, so has Christina, and we understand people, and we understand how to take care of people. And that's how we've lasted and been successful in this business. I mean, if you're not taking care of people, you're not going to last long. And that's what we're here to do. So this program is going to allow us to help more people, expand expand the reach, but it's also going to help these seniors reposition their entire retirement. I mean, just think about what you're doing. You're getting them out of these big clunky houses and getting them into a smaller home where they want to be, closer to their kids or wherever it is they want to be. And you're restructuring their entire, you're adding to their retirement portfolio in a huge way. So it's a really great program. Christina and I are super excited about it, and I hope you're excited about it. So the way to kind of get from here to there, Christina's got a super cool, unique program where she will really walk through the numbers with your client and record it on a video. And then she will also work with you. And so all the numbers are right there in black and white. It's on the video. Everybody in the process understands the numbers. And so first of all, I just think that's amazing that she takes the time to do that and puts this custom video together that walks through the numbers. I do the same thing. I also get your client the numbers. Here's what the new house, price wise, this is your budget. This is what this looks like. This is what the taxes and insurance are going to look like on that. Here's what your existing house is currently worth and what the money that I can get for it. Here's the money here's the sale price that we might be able to get even more once you're out and we've got the house repositioned and maybe staged and ready to put back on the market. So I can get even possibly a higher number for you. Here's what that number looks like. Here's the numbers that you're going to net from this whole thing. And, be in financial planning, CPAs, so on, you guys understand we got to see the numbers. And so that's the first thing we do is we put it out there. We get it on paper and we present it to you and the client and make sure that this scenario, the one we forecasted here, is going to work for everyone. And so how to get started? Find out. I mean, look through your own client review process. I mean, who might benefit from this? And let us run the numbers for them. That's all we're asking. It's like, who do you know, who in your client base might benefit, and give us a chance to run numbers for them and let's talk about it. So, Christina's gonna, I suppose, throw open the mics and see
Yeah.
what, let's see if you have any questions, if you guys are still here.
Yeah, thank you, Edie. Before we go to Q&A, you guys come off mic, ask anything. But one of the things, as I was thinking as we're wrapping up here, one of the flies in the ointment in my process for this HECM for purchase loan has always been the realtor. And that's why Edie is so important. And that's why our training program for the realtors is so important, because I'll set up a beautiful plan for somebody. I'll send them to go do it. They'll find a realtor of their own choosing. And that realtor doesn't understand this HECM for purchase. And because they don't understand it, they get freaked out and they go, well, you have the cash, right? Just buy with cash. And so I lose that client and we lose this whole amazing plan. So this is why this whole program is so important. And having that realtor training program and the pool of realtors who know how to handle seniors, who specifically want to work with seniors, is really, really important too. So any questions, and we'll answer anything you guys have for us today. Thank you for being here. All right. If we don't have any questions, then message us if you guys have any questions that come up after, and we look forward to working with you and your clients. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming.